Anything from staff? Next meeting next week? Big meeting next week, everybody?
Next meeting is a public hearing. It's on ADUs. The ordinance has been circulated, and we anticipate a fairly large group attending.
So what's the agenda for the meeting? Is there a presentation, then public hearing, then discussion, or
Yeah.
just public hearing?
You'll be doing a brief presentation?
Very brief.
Very brief.
Folks come to talk. This has been circulated. We will have some materials available at the day of the hearing to distribute to folks as they come in, which gives background on the Planning Commission's role, process, tries to answer some of the questions. But generally, it's to hear from the community, and I think there'll be no shortage of people who wish to speak.
Yeah, with the number of people that are probably interested in speaking, we probably won't have time for discussion.
Excellent.
And it's nice to absorb all that, but
Yeah.
if we miraculously have an hour of public comment, we might have some discussion afterwards.
Yeah, I would suggest that you consider listening to the testimony, closing the public hearing, reviewing the record. You've got a great deal of written comments that's come in, and will probably can come right through the night of the hearing. Consider all those materials, so when you come back, you've got the breadth of opinion.
Do you have any idea when a second hearing on ADUs might be? Since we assume it's probably needed.
You mean, I'm sorry, please repeat the question. A second hearing or continuing the hearing?
You continue the hearing, yes.
You have got the first reserved at this point for a work session. That could be a continuation of the hearing. You might want to consider about whether you're reopen for new testimony or just complete the testimony from those who've signed up.
I'm also curious if we'd plan to end at a certain time.
Yeah, my encouragement is to hear all folks who wish to speak.
Yeah.
And get through the testimony and be rigorous with the 3-minute limit. People have the right to submit extensive written comment.
Lisa?
I'd like to suggest that if we are packed, and I do believe, like everybody who wants to speak, let's pitch a tent and stay for it, because they may be taking time off of work and this is their one shot. Mm-hmm. But if we have listened to more than a couple hours of public testimony, I would really like to consider after the end of that we have the ability to go home and decompress from that experience and really kind of give thoughtful thought, reevaluate, and then come back into, a second meeting, because we've been here on a few issues closer to 11, and I know my shelf life mentally starts to evaporate probably after 10.
Do you mean like if we have additional commenters or if we stopped and had discussion?
I think we can make a decision. I would like to make a decision on, do we allow additional commenters at the next one if we see a situation where people have given up because they've sat here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And we get the sense that not everybody has had the opportunity. Because I do want to give everybody the opportunity, but again, if it is one of those sessions that, people have to go home at 9 because they've got to go to work, or 10, and if we see people leaving in fair numbers and know that they have not had an opportunity, I think it would just be appropriate if we are packed again, giving the opportunity, if people hadn't spoken, giving them the opportunity.
Yeah, I think going beyond 10 is unreasonable. And so if we have 3 hours of public comment and there's still a lot of people who want to comment, we did this with the waterfront, I think, where we just had another public hearing. The next meeting became an extension, and we had another couple hours of comment. What we don't want to do is have people double dipping, because that takes away from those individuals who maybe didn't get a chance. So we have to kind of manage that, and maybe we could talk about that a little bit.
What I would say, there is a challenge, because you basically could have the same group come and testify all over again. So you might want to consider this, a couple of things. At the beginning of the hearing, you might want to suggest that there's no need to repeat things, that one person saying something has the same weight as 10 people. You could just say, I agree with what was previously said. You don't have to restate it all. We would never, folks can do what they wish with their 3 minutes. Please don't get me wrong. But we don't need to hear the same issue over and over. Folks could say, I agree with the previous speaker. or I agree with the speaker who does this, or I agree with that point. If they have new points to raise, absolutely should do it. And if they choose not to follow that, that's their choice. They may choose to exercise their right to repeat everything.
Yeah, Garrett?
I think we hang in. That's just me. I don't care if it's midnight, because you sign up for another public hearing and we're starting all over, and everybody should have a right to speak at a second one. So on the 25th, I'll stay here till midnight if we need to. I want to hear all the testimony.
In the past, chairs have noticed if they do the math when they look at their list of X number with 4 hours or 3 hours, whatever time is decided, and even sometimes midnight is too late, and they've reduced the time to 2 minutes, and wanted to do so early so that half the people don't get 3 minutes and then the other half get 2 minutes. Is that a reasonable thing that we could expect you to might do?
Yeah, I mean, I want to do, on an issue like this, I feel like it's important that everybody on the commission feels like what happens is appropriate. So I don't want to make that decision in a vacuum, but I'm open to that kind of idea. We can definitely look at the list and extrapolate out about how much time that's going to take, and then debate at the beginning. It would definitely be appropriate to do that at the beginning if we're going to do it, and not like midway
it done
through.
halfway through,
No,
and I think
I would
that-
not. I would not do that.
I would like to keep it to 3 minutes, because I know when I've come before bodies, I have written it out, I have practiced it, I have timed it down to 3 minutes, and if I arrive to a meeting and all of a sudden find out that I'm going to be reduced 1 minute, I would feel kind of marginalized, because I'm prepared to try to be concise. So, I mean, I think if we're going to be, I would be surprised that we are not a full house, unless all of a sudden we end up with some natural disaster or something. But I think if we are going to potentially limit, the decision should be made in advance so people are prepared for it. Because I know
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't appreciate being prepared and then find out that I have to cut what I want to say by a minute, because that could be a significant amount of information someone might want to be providing you.
Sure. And that's where Rick's solution or suggestion comes in, maybe encouraging people who have the same thing to say to just say, I agree, but I know people don't want to do that.
People have written their 3 minute
3 minute, yeah.
3 minute thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a tough issue. I mean, I think that we just need to prepare for a lot of testimony, which is what we want. You know, we've been asking people to come to this public hearing and allow us time during our work sessions to debate, and so that's what we're here for. And that's why I kind of end up where you are a little bit. We're like, if we got to stick it out, we got to stick it out. That's what we signed up for. But I think we can just see how this goes and then make a decision at the beginning. And I will try and be very, very clear with everybody what that is at the beginning of the meeting, and so everyone has a clear expectation. And we want to try and hear from everybody. And if it just gets too difficult to do that in one, we can have another meeting. But I think you're right. There's going to be a lot of people. Okay. And if you guys have more thoughts on that, you maybe let me know next week, if you think of a better way to deal with it, or any commissioners. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Let's adjourn.